Welcome
Welcome
to the Level Up and Farpoint podcast, actually featuring Farpoint this time. We are going to be discussing Game of Thrones in a free-form, shouting at each other format. So you have been warned, massive, colossal spoilers ahead. There is no way you're going to watch this and come away unspoiled. So
we are going to ruin this season.
It was already written for us, but it's okay.
And your day.
You are so mad.
In keeping with the theme of this topic, I wanted to use the name generator to generate names for everybody.
They are bad.
Without further ado, joining me tonight is Jessica, the drunk bogus healer of madness.
It was funnier when we first initially did it.
Yeah.
Well,
no, keep going.
Never mind. We're done here.
Next to her is
It's ruined. It's all ruined.
Penelope, the shadow cat Papas, unifier of gods.
Mine's not.
And to her left, Justin, the vagabond Daniels, leader of kings.
My father gave me that name.
Vagabond.
On this side of the table, we have Scott, the Flayer Fine, reviver of storms. Next to him is Timothy, the pure of heart Perkins, protector of mayhem.
And ruiner of books.
And I am Sean the Indulger Rothwell, the slayer of thunder. The Indulger?
He's been known.
Sure, guys,
Nothing's more of
do.
an indulgence than a podcast.
Sure, guys. Whatever you want.
So, Game of Thrones is a thing.
It just ended. The fourth season just ended this past Sunday, which is why we kind of want to talk about it. But before this last episode, a couple episodes ago, a major new character that I know some of us were really into met an unfortunate demise, and there were strong feelings thrown about.
Again, spoilers. You have been warned.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say it anymore.
Well, I was trying to just set up Penelope
Before
and
we get,
Justin talking about it.
I don't watch Game of Thrones or read the books. It should really mean to, but man, it sure is fun as a complete spectator to everything that goes on. Just watching after every Sunday, everyone lose their nonsense over whatever happened.
So
on Facebook.
Before we get too deep in, let me explain something. For anybody who hasn't seen the show or read the books, and even for people who haven't read the books, this is a difficult entertainment property. It's not fun. It's a series that makes you miserable and angry and
feel hopeless.
Yeah.
And just come back for another helping of that.
And you can't get enough.
Yeah.
You want to be hurt. It's like for masochists only.
But at the same time, it's for everyone, because everyone gets into it. It's like even people
everybody
who
watches
don't
this at this point.
People you'd never peg for high fantasy people. Like, there are dude bros that walk into our store, the biggest fans of the show.
Oh, dude, that's so... I have such a weird disconnect with that.
There are so many weird.
Yeah.
So I can see the...
it's very group heavy.
It's definitely a very different way of storytelling. You cannot get attached to a character. You cannot have a favorite character.
If you have a favorite character, that character will die.
Guaranteed.
Or be raped and then die.
Yeah, or something really bad will happen.
Or then raped, die, and come back to life as an undead zombie.
Or be the one
and then raped
raping and
again.
murdering.
See, here's what happens. The show and books, I believe, I haven't read the books, shatters what you expect would happen in a typical hero TV show. It shatters everything and going against everything you usually expect. But unfortunately now, the show has become, you expect these things to be shattered. It's become its own enemy in that way, I think.
And that's one of my major problems.
I disagree entirely, at least from a book standpoint. And knowing what's going to happen later, I hope from a TV standpoint later on. You really expect the unexpected, and then it goes back to the expected, and then it goes back to the unexpected.
We know what we know, and we know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know.
And that's perfect.
Wow.
It's
perfect description.
Dick Cheney, also a character in Game of Thrones.
It's
Dick Cheney.
Destroyer of men.
But
Shooter of faces.
First of his name.
Basically, you get used to
In the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a
on
friend.
the
Remember his
news.
hunching
And then the
accent?
guy-
Yeah.
apologize to him.
But I didn't know it was in the face.
No,
Alright.
it's not in the
Yeah.
face.
Oh, God.
That's actually a great point though. Game of Thrones is politics at its darkest.
It is.
Yeah.
People, friends of mine who watch the first season are expecting huge battles, lots of sword play. And it's really not that. It's a lot more of character building.
A lot of
which I like, man.
Yeah.
It's a grown up Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
which we've kind of covered that in our lifetime before when we did other podcasts. I don't know if
What other
I
podcast?
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have a
Justin
big-
Maker.
I have a big dream state of other podcasts.
Yeah.
I like that. And that's what attracted me to the series. Originally, my wife was a huge fan. She's kind of like the hipster for this because it was way before it was popular.
Yeah.
And she kept trying to get me to read the books. And I was like, yeah, sure. If you're that into it, I want to see what this is all about. And I dropped out right at the chapter where Drogo is finger banging Daenerys.
It's hard to read.
and in the book, she's young. She's like
13,
12,
14.
I think she might be 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got her. They aged all of the characters up a little bit
Well,
for the
come
show
on, they had to.
because
Yeah.
it's a little bit difficult.
HBO kitty porn on HBO.
So I put it down,
Yeah.
right? But the show came back, or the show started rather. Season 1, I watched it and I was hooked. I went back to read the books and fell in love. Excuse me, I'm gonna die. I hope I wasn't anyone's favorite character. Because
You weren't mine.
Yeah.
I've been poisoned.
I made him choke like this.
I don't even remember what I was going to say.
I fell back in love with the book.
So I fell in love with the books, and I read ahead, and I finished all the books that had been released, and then I've been watching with the show.
I was about a book behind you as you were reading too, and we would come into work and like talk about it throughout the day, just like what to expect and what.
But what I loved about it is it is about the characters. It's all about the characters. There are battles that happen. Almost all of them happen off page, off screen. They've shown more of that in the show.
They
than
probably
in the
feel like
book.
they need to.
Well, they follow Rob, and in the books they don't follow Rob.
Right.
He's not a perspective character, but it's great because it is all about how the characters react to each other, how they're defined, who they are as people. You get into their heads, and then they behave from that. They don't do things because the plot needs them to do something.
They act
do
like
it.
they're real.
Yeah.
Right. Like the past 30 some years of lifetime has led them to these moments that you're witnessing unfold, and that leads to characters dying that shouldn't die, like Ned in the first book and season. It shouldn't have happened, but because of the characters involved in his death, it was inevitable.
Yeah.
But it screwed up so many things for these other characters. There's all these machinations that are just thrown out the window because all of a sudden this guy's dead. And that's really, I think, the moment where everybody's sold on the series.
All the dominoes start falling in the second season, and you realize that there was so many repercussions to that one action that you realize that this whole world is connected.
Yeah,
So.
Ned Stark's death was kind of like the flashpoint for that series for me. In that, I enjoyed it up until then, but even when that was happening in my head, even though I knew there was no way he would get out of it, it was like it's just someone's going to come in and rescue him because he's more or less the main character. But when that, when the axe falls and his head comes off his shoulders. That's when and the show keeps going. That's when I knew this was something different and that's when it really sold me on the
safe.
show.
Yeah.
I want to be shocked now, though.
It's hard.
4 seasons in. No.
Yeah.
I don't want to be shocked the way I've been being shocked. I want to be shocked by something actually typical happening. I want to be shocked by not being shocked.
And that's a great
I
point.
wanted Oberon to win.
Listen, book 5, there's a lot of people sitting on boats.
Nothing
so
really happens. So
be excited for that, 'cause that's normal.
I wanted
what?
Oberon. I would have been more shocked
I think
if the thing
If
you
for once a
expected,
good guy had
Yeah.
won.
exactly
Not even
I
a good guy, but
I think that's a
Yeah.
fair...
sexy guy,
Someone that you root
somebody
for.
that had
bisexual.
no, somebody that had, he was avenging. He was in the
He had a
Avenger.
righteous
He had a
cause.
thank you. He had a righteous cause, even though it was a personal cause. It
And
was
while
a righteous cause.
I think you guys are a little bit too hung up on Oberon because in the book he's such a minor character. He's
What's
there
funny
for
is-
like 2 chapters and then he's dead. And
He's
you're
there
like,
to
oh,
pretty much introduce Dorne.
But here's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Hey, there's these guys down there.
Yeah.
Everything you read or saw about this upcoming season 4, fan favorite.
Well, he
Prince
was because he was
Oberon,
cool, but
fan
like,
favorite.
You know what?
So I'm watching the episode and I'm like, oh, what's he gonna do to become a fan favorite? He did nothing.
Okay,
but like, I will be a champion. He did nothing but talk.
No, he didn't. First of all, he didn't do nothing. But who else is a fan favorite? Boba Fett. How many scenes is he? 2? He has 3 lines. He does nothing.
He's not my fan favorite.
You know, but you know what I mean. He is
there's
considered a
thing.
fan favorite.
Yeah.
It's because he's an intriguing character that pops up for a little while, and people are like, "I wanted to know more," but you can't because he dies like right away. But
just-
A horrible,
Oberon's
horrible death.
it's still I think you're right though, and it's a fair criticism. I think Martin has gone to that well of like, oh my god, I didn't see that
Too
coming
much.
too many
Yes, I
times,
agree.
and people have joked about that.
It would be
before.
even more interesting, and I know you want to say it. Better storytelling.
Yeah, that's. I just feel like he's to the point now in the show. I'm sure the books may be different. I just feel like he's to the point now where, okay, I'm going to introduce these people, talk about their backstory, you can get inside their head, and then I'm going to kill them off because I'm going to kill them off because I can, because that's what I do. I'm going to do it.
I don't
There's
think
maybe something to be said for like it puts you sort of in their world as well, where it's like you get attached to
Yes.
people and you find out these interesting things about them, and then suddenly they die, and you steel yourself up. Where it's just like I can't get attached to people, and that seems like a very Game of Thronesy sort of mindset to get into. And it's,
What we just talked about for the first season, that one death sets off such a chain of events.
Everything's
And you
still-
have to realize that all of these deaths are happening and things are repercussing. Right, that's a word?
sure.
there are
Sure.
repercussions.
Tim the Repercussor.
Things are happening because of all those deaths. There are actions being taken. There
I
are
understand
problems
Yeah,
happening.
I just personally feel like
But
he does things sometimes just because, I feel like doing this, I can do this, I'm going to do
Yeah.
it.
I did not
And it's
exactly
not
that.
necessarily.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think he does that. I think what he does is he writes characters and then he lets them, like I said, bounce off of each other
Yeah.
and then they kill each other.
I don't know, but
And he's just
sometimes
writing and
he's
he's like, oh.
I'm just like
I just
going
feel
off
like
of
it's
it.
not good storytelling.
And I think that's fair.
And again, I'm also coming from the perspective of someone where I just hear a lot of what people's reactions and their own and discussions while not being exactly a participant in them. But, there's the contest going on right now where it's like Martin
killed.
will write you as a character into the next book or whatever and kill you, where it's like, that seems really gimmicky, and
It
he's
is.
kind of known
It's
as
almost
he's,
a gimmick. You're
he's
right.
got-
It is a
no.
gimmick. It costs $20,000.
Yeah.
No.
he's gotten known as the guy that kills off his character.
Yeah.
But him
exactly.
doing it has almost become a gimmick.
You know what though? I agree.
It's his trope.
It
It's
is.
the Martin
But
thing.
you know what? I agree. It is not the best storytelling because after having read all the books, he's written himself into a corner. It's boring now. There are long stretches of time where nothing happens because a lot of the people that they needed to make something happen have died a
Yeah.
long time ago. And then he introduces new people and he kills them too. And you just and at some point you just stop giving a crap. Like I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it's just
Yeah.
like
I think
by the end of book 5, I was like, this is crap,
Yeah.
and I'm not interested.
I think
that
that's a little
happens.
over exaggerated, especially the end of book 5. Holy crap.
Well, let's not
the
jump
last-
ahead here. Let's talk
yeah.
about 4 here.
No, that's fine. But
Season
like,
4,
I want
which is
to, I
still
want
book
to,
3.
Is
the-
book 5 the last one he wrote?
Yes.
Dance with Dragons.
Yeah,
I want to
know the
defend
big
that
spoiler at
point
the
real
end of
quick
that
though.
one,
I disagree with that. I think it's a little too harsh. It does have boring parts in it, absolutely.
Oh man, it was a slog. 4 and 5 are slogs. There were good moments.
problem
but
is-
it was a slog.
Well, yeah, but because the problem is he chopped the books in half.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have needed to. Why were they both 1,400 pages long? That was unnecessary. Things happen.
I'm not a
that you
writer, I
could-
couldn't tell you.
that you could yada yada over, you would have no problems getting to it. Like you read book 3, and it's dense. Like you've just seen
Yeah.
this season that
Oh
just
my God,
started
but
was season 4.
It was
Second
majority of
half.
book
three.
majority of
Book
book 3.
three.
Yeah.
And it was so dense that like halfway through book 3, it's just boom, 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 boom. All these major events start culminating. And then book 4 happens, and I liked there was a pullback where it's like, look at what happened. This is where the realm is after all this war, after all these deaths. And that's cool for a little while, and then book 5 you're like, hey, I wonder what Daenerys is up to. Spoiler, she's still alive for book 5. But
It's called Dance with Dragons. Now.
yeah. So like what's she up to? Well, it turns out not a lot. But we're going to stick with her for another 500 pages. So buckle up, guys. She's sitting on a throne,
Yeah,
farting into a cushion.
stuff does happen, but
It's
it's
a
few and
long
far between.
time.
Yeah,
And I do really love these books, but I feel like you're right. It is bad storytelling because at some point the storyteller needs to step in and say something's got to change. You can, go ahead.
I don't want to sound like super negative. Up until what 2 episodes ago, I've been totally in love with this show
Yeah,
from
right.
day want. It's got swords, it's got boobs, it's got dragons. How could I hate it? It's awesome. But it just, and Justin makes fun of me for, oh, you love that character. It wasn't just the fact that I liked that character. It's just like a steady stream of, why did this happen again? Okay. And I'm just kind of, I don't know.
There's got to be
kind
ups
of
and
done.
downs. It's all been downs.
Yeah.
I think the fallout from that character's death, though, and
See, we're not there.
Have you seen it? No,
Yeah.
you are. You saw the finale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but I know there's more fallout from his death.
Right, but the immediate fallout is that there is comeuppance. There's a moment for fans, or at least readers or viewers, to be like, yes! There's that moment.
Well, let's talk specifics about this season. That just happened.
Yeah.
All right, we said we're going to spoil it anyway, so let's do this. Dance around the bush a little bit.
It didn't.
Dances with bushes.
You're talking about when Tyrion killed Tywin.
Right.
Yeah.
Felt great. Kind of. I like Tywin, though.
Yeah, so did I.
Which is part of his genius in writing. You kind of like everyone, except for Joffrey.
And you know what?
Yeah.
The best part of this season really is when Joffrey died. The best hell yeah moment of this season was when Joffrey died.
But the point stands that
There was a high.
there are good moments. It's still characters dying.
Yeah.
But it's just the characters you want to see dead.
Well, you have right before that, you have Shay. He walks in on her in his bed.
Didn't see that coming.
And he in the books it is slightly different, and it's hard for me to differentiate. Again, I've done both. I've read and watched, and it's hard to differentiate a little bit. His motivation's a little bit different.
It's way more convincing, I think.
In the book.
In the book.
Oh yeah, hands down.
It's like a whole lifetime of resentment built up to this moment.
Yeah.
because of his wife.
Right.
And
Yeah.
because he has a conversation. I read this.
Yeah.
Shouldn't read anything on the interwebs. And I read in the book he has a conversation with Jamie, and Jamie explains everything about his wife.
Yeah, about how like he was in on it, and they like roped her in and paid her to do this to prove a lesson, and like
Basically the gist is his dad set up a whore to make him look like an idiot.
yeah.
So when he confronts Shay in the book, it's
all that's behind it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then his father behind that.
Yeah, and when he meets his father,
It was like
he's-
the ultimate chess
Yeah.
player.
well, when he meets his father, he's like, in the books, he goes, you never loved me. You blame me for our mother's death. I had no choice but to be born. You know what I mean? He goes through all these changes as a character, and in this, it's just like, you slept with the person I love, and then I had to kill her for it. So now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, it
Like-
rings a little hollow for me.
Having not read the books, it wasn't clear. Like, it almost made me think, had Tywin and Shay been in cahoots with each other since way back, when before Tyrion even met her.
Right.
Well,
Like,
that's
had this whole thing been planned, just like
that's
'cause I knew
something
about
he
the wife,
questions from
was
the
that-
from
yeah.
that point on.
I think
is-
not knowing is what makes that better.
It
Yeah.
is awesome because
And
what
I-
if it was from way back?
Yeah.
then? You're
Yeah,
like,
I know in the books it's Rob's wife. People speculate that Tywin kind of sent her to him too.
It's confirmed in the book.
Is it confirmed in the
Yeah.
book? I thought it was more ambiguous
we-
in the book.
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. They make a mention of that in the book.
I don't remember, but
think-
either
I think
way,
so.
we probably shouldn't bring that up.
We said we're spoiling.
She's not in
everything.
the show. And
Yeah,
Oh,
Jen
that's
in the
true.
show.
Yeah, it's a completely
They
different
changed
character.
the character.
She
Yeah,
doesn't
that's a
die in the
completely
book,
different
right? She's
character.
in the
Never
crag
mind.
or something when it happens.
yeah, it's one of his bannermen's
Yeah.
daughter,
I'm
right?
not
So it's
sure,
one of
yeah.
it's like a Lannister bannerman sends a daughter for this whole thing to be set up. So it's
Yeah.
pretty much confirmed that Tywin was pulling.
But
the
my
strings.
point
yeah.
is with that is.
But that's a different character. We're getting way
But my
off
point is
topic.
with that is earlier in the series they confirmed that Tywin is doing those master chess moves. So the whole Shay thing is completely plausible.
So talk about master chess moves. Littlefinger, and this was a book spoiler, right?
What?
That he.
Oh, I
had,
heard about this, yeah.
That he had
John Aaron.
John Aaron poisoned by his wife.
It
And
was-
It wasn't the Lannisters that poisoned John Aaron.
I don't remember if it happened in the books or not.
They confirmed
I-
that in the show.
I think
yeah.
I think it
Twice.
was ambiguous. It was like the Mountain, which is another like kind of it was not obvious, but it was heavily speculated, but it wasn't outright said. And in
That
the
he's
show,
becoming the Frankenstein that rides.
yeah, and in the show, it's just like, well, this is happening, so
He's
I
putting
think
the
it's
bolt
hard
in
to
his
be
neck.
ambiguous
Yeah.
in the show, though.
No,
Yeah,
that's what
I
I
don't-
mean. Like
I
it's
don't
so
really-
heavy-handed. It's
I don't really have a problem with that as much because they do have to trim things down and make it more on the nose for viewers.
Yeah.
Because you can't have you can't tease out that this guy's like, it would be awkward. Be like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you remember, but like the mountain's still down there.
Well, with-
like months
yeah,
later.
with-
why not? We
No,
just
no.
talked about how Tyrion has to live with that question for
You know
the
what
rest of his
sucks
life.
about watching the show? Do your best. Do your best to not watch the previously on. Because the previously on gives away
Spoils everything,
things that's
yeah.
going to happen in
Yeah.
that episode.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, remind me of this.
Remind me of this
because
character
this is going to happen.
Especially when they pull stuff from a long time
Yes.
ago.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, that's a common problem with TV
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
with
I have to
longer
remember
working
not to
parts.
watch the previously ons.
Yeah.
and that's why I think in a book you can get away with that because you're reading it. You're reading a lot of information in a short amount of time. In a show,
I'm
Just
waiting
show
what,
not tell.
5 years now for this next book?
you can go back and read it at any time. But with a TV show, you do have to wait. You'd have. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I think
I
an
don't know.
author
It could
gives
be the
a
same
reader
Oh,
thing.
more
no.
credit
It's
than
TV shows writers
TV
tend
writers.
to underestimate the intelligence of their
Correct.
viewers, whereas
Right.
Okay.
book authors tend to maybe overestimate or depending.
They read books,
you
they
know,
must be smart. So.
Yeah, or like they trust their readers to remember more.
Yeah, I guess my point is I loved the speculation. Like me and you talked about it for 3 days after I read that part of like,
Yeah.
did it actually happen? What
Do you know? Is it the mountain?
What?
Do you know?
Like, well,
Is
either.
it the mountain that's walking around in the armor in the books? Is it him?
You're kind of spoiling.
Oh, we have
spoiling-
no idea.
You're spoiling
Yeah,
stuff that hasn't happened in the show yet.
let's not.
Hey, we
I
said
thought we said we were going to spoil.
Yeah, we
whatever.
said
No,
Yeah.
no,
I know. I
Are
specifically
we
said
spoiling
in the
TV
beginning.
or are we spoiling books?
said-
too?
I said I
This
throw
is a
in
goddamn
everything.
Game of Thrones spoiler talk right here. Just don't spoil anything beyond book 3 for us.
That's our goal right now. So
Well,
like,
he-
yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. You see, I have terrible memory. That's what I have Jen for. When I can't remember something, I ask her. I'm like, "Oh, who is this character that was like, I don't know, cousin of a Frey?
When
and
you were
then
reading-
stabbed that guy."
When you were reading the fight, the Red Viper in the mountain, whatever that
Yeah.
chapter was called,
Yeah.
I don't know. Were you like reminded of Princess Bride, or was it just us watching the show?
I don't remember.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it might.
I don't really remember that.
I'm not as
springing to mind.
I'm not as diehard with that movie as most people too. So I didn't jump to that.
It was so. I mean, he just kept repeating the same thing over and over again.
In a
with the
Spanish accent.
Yeah.
I think the accent hurt it more than anything.
Yeah, I think it was just
Um,
the accent.
I'll tell you. So after I watched that about 20 times, 'cause it's
He-
one of the
he really
most
did.
Brutal,
He's not exaggerating.
Beautiful. Wow, I just made up a new thing.
Brutal.
Let me write
It
that
was
down.
It kind of
beautiful.
describes you
De-
too.
define that.
Just
Brutal
beautiful
to the point where I need to keep watching it over and over, not for the gore, but for the emotional brutality as he's popping the top of his skull off. He's telling him what he
Too
was
soon, too
getting,
soon.
what he wanted him to tell him.
Yeah.
But instead of telling him, he's gloating
Yeah.
as he's killing him. It was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen. It was amazing, but brutal. And I watched it over and over.
I like
But
Facebook
then-
after that.
on
Reactions to
YouTube,
that.
I watched. It was like artists, like pictures and drawings
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
with someone reading the book of that scene. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Not as brutal, but really, really cool.
I would argue. I mean,
Well, not
it's
as brutal 'cause
brutal. It's brutal in a different sense.
He kind of punches him
he
in the side of his head.
smashes his face in though.
Dude, in the show, he puts his fingers in his eyes and pops the top of his head off.
I know, but that's like
It's pretty bad.
yeah,
pretty Gallagher
it is.
moment,
It is, but
yeah.
I,
And he's
I
screaming.
exactly. I watched it and I was like, a human being can't do that.
He's not a human being. He's the mountain.
That rides.
There's dragons in this show, too.
I get that, but this
Hodor
is
is a giant.
listen,
giant.
listen. I get that. I totally do, but that's not a valid argument if you're talking about two human beings fighting with swords.
Who says that the mountain? Oh my God!
One of
Who
them
says-
has a
We're gonna
spear.
have this.
Don't stop this one. Up.
Who says the mountain is
What
purely
seems to be
human
the
being?
mind and the
He
conscience.
is a giant
The
man.
books. He's a big dude.
He's like 7 feet tall, though.
Yeah.
He's pretty big.
Giant man.
He's a big dude. I totally get
believe that the actor who played him could probably pop my skull.
Dude, true story. They actually killed a guy to film that scene.
Whoever the actors is dead.
Pedro
Actors
Pascal.
were hard.
But I read his AMA afterward.
Penelope
Oh, no,
watched.
they got a stunt
Elaborate
double.
staging.
Penelope watched an interview with Pedro Pascal after that because she was really into him.
Yeah.
He's a cool character. And he doesn't have the accent at all.
No, it's totally fake.
And Sean I posted on
That was
Facebook.
hilarious.
Obviously, I was joking. I was like, oh, my life is ruined. He's not even actually Spanish. And Sean was like, what? Someone on TV is pretending to be something they're not?
An actor lied to you?
An actor played a role.
You mean that guy really isn't the mountain?
No, he's really a mountain.
No,
He really is.
He's 4'5".
His name's like Magnus Magnuson.
It's like, yeah,
He's like a
Thorvald
Swedish
von
strongman.
Mark.
North Magnus.
His hobby
Yeah.
is throwing pianos filled with liquid hot lead up buildings.
Yeah,
Like,
because yeah.
Sean, can you look up his actual name? I'm curious
We're
now.
not going to be able to say it.
No,
It's
it
just
has.
like-
It
There's
has
more
yeah.
umlauts than letters.
It has Scandinavian letters in it that are unpronounceable by.
Oh, this season has been insane. Joffrey dead. Tywin dead.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
has been fun to watch.
Hailed
Hound.
dead.
the Hound probably, yeah.
At least he didn't die from
He's
an
dead.
infection.
Well, they say
Can we talk about that for 1 second?
He's
If-
Those
on
of you who
TV.
read the books.
on TV, if you don't die on screen, you're not dead.
There was an interview after the episode aired with one of the showrunners, and they said he's gone.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a shame. I really
That-
I
like
wanted
his
to
character.
see a
In
John
this
TV
interviewer?
adventure
That's
spin-off
amazing.
about the brothers Clegane.
In the book, Brienne doesn't fight him in the book.
Brienne doesn't even meet him in the
Brienne
book.
they never meet. She never even meets Arya, does she? Not
no,
up to now, anyway.
No.
It was kind of clunky how they ran into each other.
It was weird.
I
Yeah.
The fight was cool.
I have a problem with the fight. Not because I wouldn't expect Brienne to be an incredible fighter, because she is, but the Hound, the Mountain, and Jaime are like the three people that you do not mess with in that world.
The Hound had a boo-boo.
Well, that's what he
Yeah,
died. That's what he
again,
dies of in the
yeah.
book, right?
Brienne
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
pretty freaking amazing, dude.
She's
She's
like
my
I
favorite
said, she's
character.
an incredible fighter. She won against all of Renly's
She
other.
beat Loras Tyrell, who was also who beat Jaime in jousting.
Yep.
right, so
Well,
she's-
jousting and I'm not even gonna get
So
into that.
there have been 3 actors that have played him.
The
Yeah.
most recent one.
The most recent one.
Go ahead.
Say it right, or he'll come here.
Put it up right here.
Hang on.
God.
He'll come here and lift you over his head.
That thing.
Hofblor
Yeah.
Julius Bjornsson.
Yeah, I was not expecting Julius in
No,
there.
there are accent marks over the
Elliot
U's.
Martell.
It's probably like
What is it?
It's J-U with an accent mark, L-I with an accent mark, and U no accent mark.
Kevin.
S.
It's probably like Kevin.
And it's H-A-F. It looks like a B, but like a B that goes on too long. Like a B in a
I mean, it doesn't know when to quit.
That's,
Like a bean
that's
of
an S
peanut-
sound.
Yeah.
His name means
Hafsor.
it means runt of the litter in Swedish.
Jess is actually educated. We're all like cavemen trying to read. Oh, Eiffel. Jess is like, this is how you say it. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Brienne fighting the Hound.
Brienne's my favorite character.
I totally get that. She's an awesome character.
She might be one of the only good people in the world.
It was kind of
Oh,
sweet.
how much
You
longer
didn't
is
see
it
it
until
yet.
she dies?
Yeah.
Well,
It was kind of sweet. You didn't see it yet, but her meeting Arya was like a cool little moment.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
She actually, like, I really, that's one thing I really did like about that scene, and I didn't like much about that scene besides that, is she looks at Arya like, come with me. I can help you, please. I promised an oath to your
But then
mother.
she had Lannister gold and,
Yup.
and a lion on that sword, you know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah.
And Arya's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Arya knows better than to trust
That's
anyone.
such a cool thing about the stories in the show and the books, where characters do things that, or they just missed doing something that would have helped them immensely, but they didn't, and they have. It's completely understandable
Yeah.
why they didn't do it.
So
from their
Dickensian.
from their perspective, they had absolutely no reason to do what they should have done. But from the reader, it's super frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
From the watcher,
What
it
are you
is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other major changes,
Get me some of your chickens.
God,
I love
talking. I'm gonna have to eat every
love
chicken
it.
in this room.
Such a
God, I love the Hound. but
oh
yeah.
my god.
In the book, just to clarify, in the book, the Hound gets bitten, and they made a big deal of it in the show. He's got this bite. Oh no, this bite. So we're
Yes.
thinking it's gonna kill him. It's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
In the book, he succumbs to his wound, and he asks her to kill him, and she's like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, she leaves him to die with a festering
It
wound.
Yeah,
shows-
he gets an infection, yeah.
That she's stone cold now. That she has as a product of this world.
I think that it shows that she was willing to give up a name on her list. she
I
didn't
think it
want to
shows
kill
that,
him.
You know what? You killed the butcher's son, and you were still on my list, and I'm not going to do this for you.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing to talk to.
At least in the show, he was screaming for her to kill him. He was begging.
Yeah.
So it was more of a cruel thing not to give him a quick death.
You're
it also
right,
seemed uncharacteristic of him to be begging like
Exactly.
Dude, it's
it's really-
sticking out of his body and stuff.
I think they're both they both kind of changed. I think he came closer to her a little bit.
Yeah.
And was like, please,
Yep.
you know, we're boys, whatever. We have feelings for each other now. Please kill me.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you kind of helped turn me into this cold-hearted person. No, I'm not going to kill you. I think their character development, they came closer to each other. You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
Hound definitely seemed like he saw.
That's good writing. It's pretty good.
The other,
it's
other major difference, Jojen.
Lots of good sword.
shouting for no reason. You realize that, right?
It was so inappropriate. It had absolutely nothing to do with what we were talking
I'm
about.
thinking of all these amazing hound scenes. The best scenes of this season really have been the hound.
A lot of them were, yeah.
Lots of people name their swords.
Lots of those kinds.
Lots of bad words that we're not going to say again. Because Sean will be upset.
Where's the swear jar? We were going to do that, right?
Anyway.
You want to get a little pony.
Hey, My Little Pony. We're going to talk about My Little Pony.
Anyway, going back to what I was trying to bring up before we started yelling obscenities. Jojen, that does not happen. I don't know what the deal was.
So he's still alive.
They're off the reservation.
Cold Hands isn't a part of their
We've
crew.
gone way over time, so I'm going to try to wrap this up real quick. But
Too
I
bad.
wanted to throw out that here's something that'll kind of mess with you that I read the other day. George R.R. Martin has told the showrunners how it ends.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when they make changes, keep that in mind.
Yep.
They know where this is going.
Yep.
So when they get rid of your character that you love and has a role 2 books down the road, it's probably because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because, well, they don't play much of a role in the ending.
Or they have their own idea of it.
Valor Mongolis.
But if they're going to try to get to the same ending, they know who they can drop. Who doesn't really matter in the long term.
At least I know a couple, some friends of mine who do run blogs and who are very passionately about blogging. Like the one big thing that they really don't like is that there's a lot of the changes that are made from book to TV show are done in the sense they feel lose a lot of the artistic symbolism of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
It
are done
diminishes the characters
for
too.
like either shock value or for sexualization purposes,
Well, like,
and that's
Jamie raping Cersei doesn't happen in the
that
book.
was
Yeah,
that was
that's
a
consensual.
That was a huge thing.
The Daenerys thing, the first time that she meets Drogo, that's really dark in the show.
In the book,
and it was not.
Yeah,
like
in
that.
the book,
yeah.
he's like asking her if it's okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Whoa, this barbarian's kind of like an alright guy."
I die of boo boo.
And then on his boo boo. And then they changed it to basically like, no, he's a barbarian.
Yeah,
It
in the
seems
show, it's
so
just like,
flat.
well, I'm taking what I want.
So
Yeah.
it's still a good show.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've talked. We could probably do another hour.
Oh,
of this.
no
I would
It's
love
been-
to.
It's been a while.
How weird
so-
is it to see Stannis at the wall?
I love that.
He's at the wall now.
I
Oh
love
my god,
scene.
that wall episode
Yeah.
was great. I love the tracking shot from the top of the wall
here's
down
the
around
next
all of the
hour.
courtside. I just want to get this in.
Yeah.
We didn't touch upon this
You know nothing's
major
not fine.
battle scene.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going point by point.
I just
We were
want to say that the tracking
All right, go
shot
ahead.
was great.
tracking
Tracking
shot was great.
It was.
Okay.
It's all about that tracking shot.
Well, the tracking shot was great. So, well, all right. You know, we have gone way over our discussion. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2, more Game of Thrones, because we could talk forever.
I think we got out of our
I
system.
could.
We could talk
No,
about
I could
anything
talk forever.
forever.
No, we are at this point. We've been traumatized.
Yeah, now that you've
By
ruined
what we've seen
everything,
and
so
read.
maybe I can.
I'm going to go upstairs and watch
participate.
the Mountain and Viper fight again.
I feel like that's one of the things that binds fans together of the series is that they're traumatized. They have a shared trauma. It's like people who live through a terrible event, and they just have to sit together like group therapy.
I might have PTSD from that.
Remember
battle.
chapter 11?
I might, dude. It affected me.
Everybody has a story about what they did when they first read or watched The Red Wedding. You know.
Man, I must be a psychopath. I was so just detached from that.
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
concerns about you for a long time.
I think because you could feel that was a bad move going there.
Dude, you gotta know.
And I was so
anytime-
used to things.
No. It's
going
so easy.
wrong.
It's so easy to say that in hindsight. In the book, trust me, it's not so
Anytime
I
the
just-
Reigns of Castamere plays,
Yeah, someone's.
something's happening, man.
And who
I think that's a good.
are you, the proud lord?
All right, so this is getting crazy.
Sing us out, Tim. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it there. Thanks for listening to us rant about Game of Thrones. Join us next time when we're gonna rant about My Little Pony.
Alan Margulis.
Not really.
Valor
Valor
Thanks,
Pony.
everyone.
We got a couple for not really.